determining whether the party wants him or not.
This is a constitutional crisis in the making.
The base is split right down the middle.
They can't take a joke. Or was it?
They thought they had him boxed in with term limits. Well, they were wrong. Constitutional scholars just dropped a nuclear bomb on the establishment. The 22nd Amendment says you can't be elected president more than twice. It doesn't say you can't serve again. Legal experts are dissecting every word, and what they're finding is Democrats in absolute meltdown. Gavin Newsom already got his Trump 2028 hat in the mail. He's terrified because he knows this isn't a joke. CNN's calling Trump a despot. The View's Anna Navarro is warning viewers not to fall asleep. Even Steve Bannon is talking about it. The constitutional chess game that could extend Trump's presidency indefinitely is real. It's legal, and it's happening. So don't go anywhere. And yes, the establishment's panicking about Trump 2028 because they know what's coming. Just like this Nobel Prize-winning molecule that extended lab animals' lives by 90%. C60 Evo isn't science fiction, it's science fact. My brain fog vanished, joint pain I've had for years gone. My wife looks and feels 10 years younger. Now, this molecule, 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. Chris Burris, the scientist, he's been perfecting it in his Houston lab since 1991. The Paris study proved life extension. Now my family is living proof. C60evo.com/NNN. Make sure you use code NNN for exclusive savings and transform your health today. So the liberal meltdown is happening right on cue. President Trump jokes, or did he? Did he really joke? I don't know. That he could serve a third term in 2028 by running for VP and then the president stepping down. I wouldn't do that, he says. I think it's too cute. But what? Is he sending us a coded message or is it just triggering libs? Let's listen.
Vice President, one theory on how you might try to serve a third term is that you could run as the vice president.
Yeah, I'd be allowed to do that.
Is it the White House or the White House counsels or your legal position?
No, you'd be allowed to do that, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. I think it's too cute. Yeah, I would rule that out because it's too cute. I think the people wouldn't like that. It's too cute. It's not. It wouldn't be right.
One theory on how you
I wouldn't rule out, though, he says. He kind of snuck that line in there. But what are people saying? Well, over on CNN, the meltdown commenced. President Trump has CNN losing their minds after confirming he'd be eligible to serve a third term as president. They're now saying that Trump is a despot and a threat to the nation. We have to take this quite seriously. It's a threat. Yes, the nightmare scenario unfolding on CNN. Watch their faces.
That's not important to remember that was in reaction to a deviation from democratic norms. And so it is important to remember that checks on executive power have happened over time, not as many as we should have had. And I say that as a presidential historian. But I mean, calling it a third term is something that Washington in his farewell address would have called something different. He called it a despot. But, you know, something like despot, dictator, monarch, that's not going to poll well with focus groups. And so I think calling it a third term is an interesting choice of words when combined with, as Steve Bannon said the other day, words like providence.
Yeah, what's this sort of flirtation that Trump has of a third term, coupled with what Steve Bannon is talking about and raising this idea of, you know, maybe there's different ways. I think so. Some people question even this idea of, you know, what about kind of an acolyte or a proxy, and then Trump staying very involved as an ex-president who would be then, let's be clear, well into his 80s. What is the precedent for that, and why have presidents so shied away from that kind of thing?
We have a president, and then that is supposed to be the leader that is the democratically elected leader of what is now the longest running republic in the history of the world. And perhaps, the providence is that at 250, it's no longer. But the president should not, the Constitution is really clear.
You see how she snuck that in there? We're coming up on our 250th year. She says, well, maybe after 250, it is no longer.
You are elected, you can serve a certain amount of time, and then no longer. And I think that there are, as Bannon threatened, I would say, we do have to take this quite seriously. We should view it as a threat. There are patterns that are established, and we should look at them. I think that when he threatens that there are workarounds, there's all sorts of nightmarish scenarios that we can imagine. But what we do have to decide here as Americans, no matter what party we belong to, is what kind of country do we have?
Yeah.
Important to remember.
We're going to get to Steve Bannon's remarks in a minute. Look who crawled out of his hole. Joe Biden. We have something from him, his warning. But here is Steve Bannon. Says Trump will return to the White House for a third term in 2028, saying the country cannot survive without him.
In 16, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm really I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through, Zanny, and define all those terms.
But you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it.
If the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's what it sounds like.
It's not. Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I guess that's why it seems to me some kind of tension there.
First off, the only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people, okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started.
We're going to get to these remarks here in a second. Check this out, okay? The 22nd Amendment says you cannot be elected for a third term. It doesn't say you can't serve a third term. The 12th Amendment says you cannot be VP if you are ineligible to be president. It doesn't say ineligible to be elected president. Trump will not become ineligible to be president for a third term. If he were Speaker of the House, he'd be third in line and could become president in the event of a vacancy of both VP and POTUS. So he's eligible to be president and therefore eligible to run as vice president, just not be elected president. Are you following this here? What are they saying over there on The View? Anna Navarro. Oh my, they are melting down over there.
There were a lot of people who thought Joe Biden was too old to run. Donald Trump is already the oldest president ever elected in history. He would be 82 in 2028. We've all seen the swollen ankles. We've all seen the bruises on his hands. You know, this is a man who is showing his age and the health issues that often come along with being elderly. But look, part of the reason we're talking about this, and part of me always thinks they want to own the liberals, they want to troll us, they want to trigger us, all of those things. But that doesn't mean we don't take him seriously. Yeah. And part of the reason he's done crazy abuses of power is because he can. Because he's getting away with it without any pushback or oversight from Republicans. Now, I will say, I have seen some Republicans on TV who make a living sucking up to Trump daily, saying that they would be against him violating the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution, which says that it's only 2 terms. It doesn't say it has to be back to back. It says only 2 terms. That's right. And, you know, this is a guy who's got authoritarian envy. He goes around to these countries and he loves he wants the parades, he wants the arches, he wants the ballrooms, he wants to be an emperor, he wants to be an authoritarian. Paying no attention to the Constitution, that's the way Ortega does it, that's the way Chavez did it, that's the way Maduro does it, that's the way Putin does it.
Putin's been around forever.
Right, so, I would say do not fall asleep on this. And Republicans, if you don't want every single elected Republican should be getting asked right now, would you be in favor or against Donald Trump running for a 3rd term? And if they say if they don't say anything, if they don't answer, vote them out. There were a lot.
I'm all for it. Trump 2028. So here's some questions that were asked of average Americans. Should Trump run for a 3rd term?
Should Trump run for a 3rd term?
I would like Trump to be the dictator of this motherfucker. I like that white man. Y'all think it's a joke.
Man, Trump should run for a 5th term, a 6th term. He should run a marathon. I don't know. He should run for everything, man. He should run for a top 5 rappers that are alive. I don't know. Donald Trump should run for everything, man. I think if Donald Trump had an ice cream truck company, it'd be the best ice cream truck company in the world. Whatever he does, whatever he puts his hand on, it turns into gold.
Do you think Trump should run for a 3rd term?
Man, Trump needs to run for a 100 term.
Why?
He keeping us safe. He got on lockdown. Ain't nobody gonna f with us as long as Big Trump in the office. You talking about?
Should Trump run for a 3rd term?
No, he shouldn't run for a 3rd term. He should just be president for life.
Why?
Because we need a dictator. We need somebody like Trump who doesn't give a fuck and does whatever he wants and puts the American people first. I know that the economy is booming. I know that illegal immigration is at an all-time low. I know that businesses are thriving. I know that the streets are cleaned up. And I know that America is being restored to its most prosperous state, which it was, not anymore, but now it is again. So yeah, I think he should be allowed to just stay in office.
Do you think Trump should run for a 3rd term?
Absolutely. If he can, I hope he can run for 5 terms. All I know is I get up every single day. I don't prefer listening to the news. Every single time I turn on the radio, bad news, bad news, bad news, stupid dog from Biden. And now if I turn it on for 5 minutes, all I hear is one more great thing, one more great thing, one more great thing. And then I go to NPR for a few minutes when the commercials come on. Trump is a danger to democracy. It's like the most ridiculous clown-ass bullshit you ever heard.
Should Trump run for a 3rd term?
I would like Trump to be the dictator of this motherfucker.
Well, I think you heard it from the people first there, buddy. Yeah, so here's Gavin Newsom. He's freaking out.
Everything you need to know about the fact that we're affirming our independent commission, and we're calling for a national independent commission as well. Well, I think it's pretty sick and pathetic. And it just said everything you need to know, the setting that we're under. That they chose the time, manner, and place to send their district director outside right when we're about to have this press conference. Said everything you know about Donald Trump's America. And that was top down. You know that for a fact. And they'll deny it, I'm sure. Maybe they won't deny it. Said everything you know about the authoritarian tendencies of the President of the United States. I said in a moment ago, wake up, America. Wake up. You will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a 3rd term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around. The rules do not apply to him. The most corrupt president in history. He doesn't believe in free enterprise, crony capitalism. He is wrecking this country, wrecking the economy. He's a lawless president. Wake up, America. Wake up to what's going on.
He's a lawless president. Wake up, America. Representative Wesley Hunt begs for AOC and Jasmine Crockett to run in 2028 and reacts to a Trump third term.
Would love to actually run Walter Reed.
They're basically just giving it to us. That would be a layup for our party. I think also in their interview, he talked about JD running again and potentially even teaming up with Marco Rubio, which would be an unstoppable band. And I don't disagree with that at all. We have a very deep bench on our side, and President Trump talked about how they don't really have a bench at all. I mean, if they're talking about Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Bernie Sanders, and Gavin Newsom, I mean, you cannot be serious. This election is right around the corner. They just got killed over the course of the past year because President Trump is moving so quickly that they can't even keep up. They got destroyed in the last election. The economy is doing well. Our border is now secure. People are safer. The world is safer. He's achieving world peace. He's traveling all over the place, spreading the good word about the America First agenda. And also, this man just won Texas by 15.7 points, which is really good for me because I was the first person in the country to endorse President Trump. I campaigned with President Trump. I was one of his top surrogates. And at the end of the day, I got to see my guy win, and I supported him from the very beginning. And that's actually the reason why I'm doing so well in this Senate race, is because people realize that Wesley is a true America First patriot that stands behind President Trump. And also people
Oh, yeah, let's go. Okay, so Joe Biden came out and said, in a rare and defining moment after completing radiation treatment, President Biden just delivered a speech of the year, torching Trump and urging Americans to get up and fight back.
Folks, we can't kid ourselves. We are in one of those moments right now. In my over 50 years in elected public life, this is the worst I've seen it. If Ted were here today, he'd still be fighting like hell. But his optimism would be surely tested. Because truth be told, our very democracy is at stake, in my view. We all agree that our politics is broken, that political violence, never acceptable, is out of hand, that America should be a place not of extremism and fury, but of decency and grace, that our institutions are what makes us the envy of the world, and our democracy is worth fighting like hell for.
Yeah, so Joe Biden showing up. So President Trump, you heard him talking about Rubio there in that last clip before. Trump said J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio 2028 would be a strong ticket.
I think if they have... Well, we have great people. Well, I don't have to get into that, but we have one of them standing right here. We have J.D., obviously. The vice president is great. I think Marco's great. I think, I'm not sure if anybody would run against those two. I think if they ever formed a group, it would be unstoppable. I really do. I believe that. I would love to do it. I have my best numbers ever. It's very terrible. I have my best numbers.
He said, I would love to do it. I would love to run, he says.
If you read it, am I not ruling it out? I mean, you'll have to tell me. All I can tell you is that we have a great group of people, which they don't. They have Jasmine Crockett, a low IQ person. They have AOC's low IQ. You give her an IQ test. Have her pass like the exams that I decided to take when I was at Walter Reed. Those are very hard. They're really aptitude tests, I guess, in a certain way, but they're cognitive tests. Let AOC go against Trump. Let Jasmine go against Trump. I don't think Jasmine, the first couple of questions are easy. A tiger, an elephant, a giraffe, When you get up to about 5 or 6, and then when you get up to 10 and 20 and 25, they couldn't come close to answering any of those questions.
ABC News' Jonathan Karl says he doesn't believe Trump is overly serious about running.
Steve Bannon recently said on a podcast that President Trump will get a third term and that his team essentially has a plan to make this happen. Now President Trump's not ruling that out, saying that, he would love to do it. How serious do you think he is about that? And how would they make that happen if the Constitution explicitly prohibits presidents from serving more than 2 terms?
Look, it's clearly against the Constitution. I mean, it is written into, the amendment that was put in place after FDR was elected for 4 terms. So we're not going to do this again. We're going to codify that you can only serve 2 terms. I don't think that Trump is overly serious about this. I think he does this to get a rise out of people. He shows off his Trump 2028 hats. But Bannon sure sounds serious. And as you said, Trump is, again, publicly not ruling it out. What Bannon is saying is, okay, so let's say the American people elect him. Let's say, we know what the Constitution says. Let's say the American people elect Donald Trump again. What then? Then we have do we say that the person that got the most votes is not going to be the president? So look, I don't think we're going to go there. But I can also tell you, Diane, that what I cannot, and as much as I have studied Donald Trump, as much as I've gotten to know him, I've known him, now for more than 30 years, I don't know how he quietly leaves office. He tells people privately, look, I'm gonna be done when this is over, when this term is over. He even goes and he quizzes people. Who do you think it should be, JD or Marco? Asking about whether it should be JD Vance or Marco Rubio to be the next Republican nominee. But does Donald Trump ever quietly act as a lame duck president where the attention is now on a different Republican nominee and a Democratic nominee and the next president? I don't know. I don't know how he does that.
Steve Bannon recently said on a podcast that President Trump...
One comment on Air Force One is driving an entire news cycle at the moment. And everybody is freaking out. Here is Laura Trump, says J.D. Vance's young age of 41 is terrifying the left.
Is going to happen. Vance is just over 40, and I think Usha's 39. So yes, they're young, which is terrifying to the Democrats. Imagine, Stuart, we kept what we've seen happen over the past 10 years going for the next 8 years, which is what a lot of people believe is going to happen, that the Democrats are in such a bad spot with no leader, no message, and nothing that the American people are interested in, that once Donald Trump ends his term, and we love the Trump 2028 hats, don't kid yourself, I know everybody, especially a lot of Democrats love those, then it will be J.D. Vance for the next 8 years. And that is terrifying to the Democrat Party, who, of course, Jen Psaki is representing them right there.
And don't forget, the youngsters in the Democrat Party are basically socialists.
Vance is just over 40, and I think Usha's...
Don't forget who's socialist. Oh, but what about Donald Trump Jr.? Now, I personally asked him at an event. He was flattered, but he didn't say no. Here are his remarks back in May when asked about running for president. Oh, do we not have audio on this? Maybe not. I've always been very active in terms of being a vocal proponent of these things. I think my father trusted... Let's see, let's start over. I'll start it from the beginning. The answer is, I don't know. Maybe one day that calling is there. I'm always active and a vocal proponent of these things. So what is he saying? The answer is, I don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe one day you'll see Donald Trump Jr. running for VP with J.D. Vance. That's what I said when I saw him at an event. I screamed, Vance Trump 28. So who knows what's on the horizon. But clearly, with one remark on Air Force One, President Trump has sent everybody into an absolute tailspin. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Now, to be clear, the Constitution is not a suggestion. It is the supreme law. And right now, that law might allow Donald Trump to serve beyond 2028. The 22nd Amendment's exact wording creates what legal scholars call an interstice, a gap that changes everything. You can't be elected twice, but serving? Different story. Run as VP, president steps down, you're back. Too cute? Maybe. Constitutional? Absolutely. The left's hysteria proves they know that it's possible. They're not screaming about fantasies. They're screaming about legal realities. Now, Trump himself joked about it, calling for Vance Rubio ticket for 2028 unstoppable. That's 16 years of America First governance. The establishment would rather burn the Constitution than see Trump use it against them. But here is the thing. They wrote these rules, and now they're choking on them. So here's my question. If it's constitutional, should Trump run again in 2028? Yes or no? Hit the comments and grab your own Trump 2028 gear at our merch shop. It's linked below.